Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. Today I want to talk about the M-WTCA. What is it and why is it the absolute best place to buy tools in the world? Let's dive in. Now, I'm going to be putting timestamps down below to all of the critical things that I'm talking about. But number one, the M-WTCA is a collecting organization. So it is a group of people who are very interested in the history of tools, how they were used, where they were used, what brought about them, who made them, and all of the information that goes into the background of the tools. Most everyone in the group is also a user and does build things with their tools and has fun with that. But the group's focus is on the education and the history of the tools. Most people get into the M-WTCA because they want to buy tools, and they have some amazing tool meets where you can go and find all sorts of tools for sale, from great users to great collectibles and everything in between. The M-WTCA holds meets predominantly in the Midwest of the United States, but also does hold them in other places in the United States. There are other collecting organizations around, such as the Rocky Mountains in California and the East Coast and down south and the West Coast and Australia and several other places and Canada, and they're all around. But the M-WTCA is larger than all the rest of them combined. It is the big tool collecting organization. They hold local meets all over the place. And these are great meets where you can go and find a decent room with tools for sale, and you get to schmooze with people and find out, hey, what is that? What does this tool do? What makes it special? And finding out a lot of those things can broaden your horizon on what tools you may want, as well as what tools you actually need. But twice a year, the M-WTCA holds two national meets, and these are huge. This is what I just recently went to in Madison, Wisconsin. The next one is going to be in Bowling Green, Kentucky, but they do happen different places every time. One is usually in June, one is usually in September, October. If you want to see a list of all of the upcoming M-WTCA meets, you can go to m-wca.org, link to it down below, or you can go to my website, handtoolfinder.com, and I have a map of the world with all the known locations I know of to buy hand tools. So I want to actually talk about what happens at a national meet, because people travel from all over the United States and in many cases from all over the world to come to these meets, because they are the largest tool buying, selling, hand tool meet in the world, and they are phenomenal places to build out your supply of tools or find out more information about what makes them tick. At the national meet, it starts off on Thursday with the tailgate sale. This is my favorite of all of the sales because it is generally the less quality tools. They're not the collectible ones. They're a little bit more rusted, but that makes them better users usually. And the prices tend to be a little bit lower because anyone can come and sell in the tailgate as long as they are a member of the M-WTCA. Basically, on Thursday morning, starting around 6 a.m. and going until around noon, 1 o'clock, you're going to find people opening up their trucks and cars and minivans and selling all sorts of things. And this is probably the place where I have purchased more tools than anywhere else. Around 60% of my tool stock comes from the meet, particularly on the tailgate. If you're coming to a national and you can only be there one day, Thursday morning is definitely the day to do it. Take a day off work and have fun. Get there early because some of the sales happen phenomenally early. There are normally a couple guys that show up and they have dirt cheap prices and they're just getting rid of stuff. But those things sell out very quickly. Now, you do have to be a member to come to the M-WTCA meets, either the local or the national. You have to be a member, and only members get invites to them. So you do have to become a member of the M-WTCA to go to them. And then you have to pay the entrance fee for the event itself. But the event covers many, many other things. For instance, right after the toolgate sale, we then go inside and there is the first of 3 different tool talks. And these are different things about the history of tool. They might be actually looking into the detail of a specific brand or a specific maker or how tools were used. Usually I do a talk once a year or so where I do a demonstration. They're just fantastic amounts of information to know about how the tools were historically used and how they were made. Just fascinating things to find out about. This year we had a talk looking at how window casements were made, and this was fascinating to see how it progressed over the years. It went from being 4 different options with 4 different planes to being down to 1 plane that can do it in 2 different passes, and how they all go together. This was incredibly informational, and now I want to do a video on making window casements. Yeah, this was well worth the price of admission just for this one talk, but there's lots more to happen. At the end of every day, there is a hospitality room where they have ice cream, cake, and other things. You can schmooze and talk to people and get to know the others in the organization who is interested in the types of things that you are interested in. And if you do want to get into collecting, then you can find specific collectors who know more information about specific topics. They've spent their life going after studying something very specific. On Friday, the fun really begins as we move inside, and it opens up the showroom with the displays. Now, the displays are a collector showing off their collection and specific things about it, so you get to learn more about the history of those tools. Who made them, why were they made, how were they made, and what were the differences, how did things change over time. Just collections from decorative axes to grinding machines and other things like that. It's just a phenomenal place to pick someone's brain of what have they learned in their years of collecting that particular item. Soon after that, the main trade floor opens on Friday morning, and this is probably where most of the tools are sold. Inside, it tends to be a little bit higher quality tool. You spend a little bit more. The collecting value is usually a little bit higher, but you will still find tables with $5 a piece, $15 a piece, $10 a piece, and so on. The second talk on Friday was this time about tools used in the Civil War, and he actually talked through how do you become a Civil War reenactment woodworker. So not just, using the guns out in the field, but actually doing some of the woodwork in period quality methodology. And that was kind of fascinating to see how did he go about researching what was actually used there and what didn't come until a little later. The last thing on Friday is the auction. And the auction often goes for rather pricey, expensive things, but sometimes you get really good deals. I bought a 45 with a set of cutters, fairly nice condition for $42. I bought several other things that I've been looking for a while. So every now and then the auction has things that are phenomenal, and you can see that ahead of time as well as be at the auction and buy them there. And if you've never been to an auction, they're a lot of fun. On Saturday, there is a Saturday-only entrance fee. So if you can only come on Saturday and you want to buy tools, you can come for it. But Saturday, the tool sale is short. There isn't a whole lot of time there. And it's been pretty well picked through. So you're not going to find the amazing deals, and you're not going to find a huge amount of different things. But if you can only come on Saturday, it's a cheaper price because you only have to pay for Saturday to enter. If you want to come to anything else, you have to pay for the whole thing. So you either buy the whole thing or just Saturday. The talk on Saturday was absolutely mind-blowing. We were looking at what is a horner. And this is something I never really thought about. I never looked into it. A horner is someone who works with horn, hoof, bone, or antler. And they actually went into detail about what did a horner look like? What was their hierarchy in the maker scene in the time? What kind of things did they make? How did they make it? And the idea of taking a horn and flattening out the pieces and then molding them, because they're almost a plastic that you can heat and shape into different things, and making bowls and silverware. That was absolutely fascinating. And now I want to try some of that. Maybe make a channel called Horner by Wright. The Horner's Corner. I want to look into this more because it was an absolutely fascinating topic. And a lot of the tools that he used were the exact same tools that we used in woodworking. They just had different names. And things like this I would never have run into or thought about until I went to an M-WTCA meet. A phenomenal amount of information. To wrap everything up, Saturday night there is a banquet, and that is included in the fee. So when you buy the fee for the weekend, you also get the banquet. Good food, and they hand out prizes for the displays and other things. You get to meet and talk with a lot of people and spend a good bit of time there. A lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to going back to the next one. So these national meets are a big deal. There is a lot that goes on, and there's a reason that people book them out and travel from all around the United States and around the world. It's not just for buying tools, but for the history aspect, for bumping into other people who might be interested in the same topics that you're interested in. They are absolutely phenomenal for that. On top of that, if you become a member for the M-WTCA, you also get 4 periodicals. So once a quarter, you get a periodical that is talking about what's happening in the M-WTCA, but also some of the collections and things that have been going through, some of the history that's been dug up. And people may have specific things of, oh, recently I've been doing research on this and we found this particular piece of information. There'll be write-ups on that. A lot of really good information on that. And then once a year, you also get a republication of an old book or catalog or something of that nature that is a historical value to it. And so for $25 a year, not only do you get all the publications, but then you get invites to the tool meets, and you can then go to all of the locals and the nationals, and it is well worth it. If you want to find out more about it, m-wca.org. Links are down below. And also, if you are in some place other than the Midwest, there might be a local collecting organization for you. Canada, West Coast, East Coast, South, Australia, Europe. And I do have a list of other collecting organizations on handtoolfinder.com. And so if you go down there, you can look down and see if there is a hand tool organization in your area. And a lot of them do cross-promotional. If you're a member of the M-WTCA, you get into one or the other. Some of them are separate. So definitely take a look at that and see if there's anything local to you. There is a huge reason why I love the M-WTCA. Of all these tools back here, probably somewhere around 60 to 80% of the tools have come from the meets. It is a phenomenal place to get your feet dirty, to understand what is going on in the antique tool scene, and start to understand some of the history behind the tools, and not just try and find a good user tool. Once you really get into it, the M-WTCA is a phenomenal resource. So I hope you like this deeper dive into something that I absolutely love and am enjoying. If you do have any questions, let me know that down in the comments down below. I do like reading through those, and I'll answer as many as I can. For the upcoming meets, I'm not going to be able to be at the one in Bowling Green. Unfortunately, we've scheduled our vacation on top of it. But next June, I am going to be at the one in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And that should be a lot of fun, being in Gettysburg. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Lots of fun things coming in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. A huge thank you to all the patrons on Patreon, members here on the channel, and people who I got to meet at the M-WTCA. Thank you for coming and saying hi. That means a lot. If you do like what you see, hit like, comment, share, subscribe. All those things really do help out the channel, and I think that'll do it for now. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
Side effects of the M-WTCA include empty pocketbooks, full vehicles, overstuffed shops, arguments with the wife, tetanus, an irrational desire to purchase everything within sight, and an odd, uninsatiable belief that you need all the tools. Please consult with your favorite woodworking guru before attending M-WTCA, or you may become one of those known as a collector.